him working for me, and it was great on both sides. It really was. He was really a right hand to lean on for me in a lot of things. He was a true professional, and I think something like Joyce was saying is he's a model to that. It doesn't matter how much you know until people know how much you care. And he always demonstrated that, but he also always knew a lot. He always had that great experience to glean from him. And going back, I was listening to that comment that you read about that Lieutenant Jeffries made, how he had unwavering calmness, professional demeanor. And I got a little story to share about that. When he came into special projects, no matter where you're at, you're going to always have that small percentage of staff that just don't like to change. And there was a couple of staff in the project that didn't like the change of a new lieutenant coming in, and he really he wanted to integrate a lot of professionalism and policies and procedures into special projects. It was really kind of shoot from the hip type of thing back then. And that was kind of one of his goals that he wanted to do. He wanted to write a policy on how projects officers work. And so there was a little bit of a a movement between a couple of people that wanted to fight this whole thing. And I was having a conversation with him in an office, and it was pretty much similar to like this layout here, where he's in front of a computer screen and there's a window right behind him, and he's talking to me about how things are going, and so I started to tell him about the dissension amongst the troops and how that was. And in the window behind him were these staff members that were mocking him and doing just the worst things in the window. And I finally had to say it to him. I said, "Lieutenant Lee, do you realize they're right behind you?" He goes, "I know. I see them in my sleep."
That was a great takeaway. I appreciate that.
I really didn't have the opportunity to work with them until about 2007. And I knew of him, his reputation really preceded him. And I was very impressed with what I encountered. He was my right-hand man. I could always count on him. With what Jeff said earlier about the evaluations, they were absolutely accurate. He was one of the easiest evaluations I ever had to do, and I just really appreciate it. And also, I think the number of people that show up to a retirement is really a show of the integrity and the impact that you had on the people. And I just want to say thank you.
I have to say that your dedication and professionalism has been great with the department. If we had more employees like that, it'd make my life a lot easier. Thank you for your
Henry's leg down.
Okay.
Well, during that trip, I broke that parole officer's nose.
Nobody hears you.
The director said he had it coming. Anyway.
You need to tell how and why.
Anyway, on the way home, I kept fretting about breaking this guy's nose, and I mainly promised he wouldn't tell. So a few days after we got home, Larry Wright called me in and he said somebody called for workers' compensation because a certain sergeant had broke this guy's nose. So Lee and I got called in, and I'll never forget, Larry said they were sending a letter down that said, corrections 1, parole 0. But he saved me. He kept me calm all the way back because I thought, oh, we're going to get fired.
How did you break his nose?
Well, it was one of those trust building things. And when he hit
that's called team building.
And when he hit, I really did feel bad. But he looked the cutest raccoon you ever saw.
Life. And he says, at least out of that deal, we got one good officer. Made my life at home miserable because he's coached her on verbal judo, pressure points, stun baton, and pepper spray.
Meeting her, knowing Val, and she's been like a second support system, almost a bonus for him.
bring back offenders who are a lot bigger than me, and I have to, kind of give them news that they don't want to hear sometimes, that kind of thing. And so I just stop by his office and say, by the way, you might hear some stuff if you got my back, that's cool. And he always did. And, you never needed to come in or anything, but I always knew that I could count on him if I needed to. There was also one time when I needed some professional advice on something that I felt that I'd made a mistake on. And I remember sitting in front of his desk and just kind of explaining the situation to him and asking for his advice. And he gave me really excellent advice. And I just really appreciated that you were willing to take the time to ask me how I'm feeling all the time, and just knowing that you cared.